Well, Jake, Alabama got a big time win against the number one team in the country and on the hardwood on Saturday. Just a big win for Alabama. We're going to talk about that and just this basketball team in general on this episode of Tide Talk Live. What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another episode of Tide Talk Live. Stacey Blackwood here, joined by my good buddy Jake Thomas. Jake, what a win by Nate Oats and company there in Houston over the number one ranked Houston Cougars on Saturday, 71-65. Jake, I can't wait to get your thoughts on that and this Alabama team. But as always, y'all know the drill. Like, share, subscribe today if you're not already. Thank you so much for all the continued support. Our last couple of videos have just absolutely blown up, and we cannot thank you guys enough for that. We're going to try a new way of doing our show. We're going to try to premiere an episode every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning to see how that kind of plays out for everybody. And if that's something you guys enjoy, that's what we will continue to do. All right, Jake, look, what a win. 71-65 over Houston in their building, erasing a 15-point second half deficit. Jake, just tell me what your thoughts on the game, your feelings on this team, and how big of a win that was for Nate Oats and the Crimson Tide.
Man, that was an incredible win. This is the first time since the Duke 1965, 1966 Duke team has beaten multiple number one AP ranked teams, in that time frame, before Christmas. So incredible start for the Tide and this team. Nate Oats is he's got a great team right now. I actually watched the game today. We had stuff going on over the weekend, or yesterday, and didn't get to watch it, but I watched it today. And man, it was incredible to watch, especially that second half, getting down 15, and then with the freshmen, I mean, our best player wasn't hitting anything on the field, Brandon Miller, and nobody panicked. There was no panic at all in this team. They got down 15 and they just crawled and scratched and just made their way back. And then when we needed Brandon Miller to step up, he made clutch free throws that sealed the game. So, I mean, what an incredible team effort. Noah Clowney is becoming, another superstar in front of our eyes. And like I said, Sears and Brandon Miller both was having terrible games offensively. Sears finally got it going in the second half, but what an incredible win! That's I don't know what else to say about it, man.
Well, there's really not much to say. I mean, it's just if I could kind of sum up this team in one word, they're just fighters, man. They don't quit. They keep fighting. They keep clawing. They keep scratching. And you couple that with the amount of talent that they all have, you've got a dangerous basketball team, Jake. And to go on the road in a place like Houston, a team that is, they're arguably the best team in the country. And not only do you beat them, Jake, but you beat them when your best player is not at his best, when your second best scorer is not at his best, and really we're not getting much from Jake Hugh on the offensive end of the floor as well. So it's just amazing that this team continues to do the things they're doing, and I'm just really excited to see this team grow.
Absolutely, and I think the AP rankings have come out, and we are now fourth in the AP top 25. So we're getting some territory that we've not been in a long time, and as an Alabama basketball fan. So we it's good to see. I think the ceiling for this team it's limitless at this point. I mean, I think when everybody comes together and with the playmakers that we have, we can we're going to make a deep tournament run. I have no doubt about it.
Sorry, my son decided to come in, and he was trying to tell everybody hi, then trying to turn off the lights on me. He's trying to ruin our episode. But like the Alabama basketball team, we're going to fight through it and just and see what happens. But yeah, Jake, this team is just the sky is the limit. That's the truth. They're the win over Houston is really just kind of I think really this team, the momentum really changed for this team. They started the season off really solid. They dropped that game to UConn, who we look now they're really one of the best teams in the country.
Right.
But they get that 4 overtime win over North Carolina, and you can say what you want to about North Carolina. In that moment, North Carolina was ranked number 1. And it was a dogfight of a game, and Alabama was able to win that game. And I think that's really going to change the outlook on the season for the Crimson Tide. And I think that's really propelled them to take that next step. And like you mentioned, Noah Clowney is playing at a high level. Jaden Bradley is playing at a high level off the bench. I think when I look at this team, and Coach Oats talked about this after the game last night, Jake, was how everybody understands their role and they're willing to let the other players shine if maybe they're not having their best game. And that's the sign of a great team with great leadership and great chemistry. And this team is going to be so much fun to watch. They got Memphis next on Tuesday night at home, and before they play Gonzaga in Birmingham.
It don't get any easier.
It's not getting any easier for Nate Oats and company there. But that's what you want, Jake, because when you get to SEC play, there's no nights off. It's just like football, Jake. If you don't show up, you'll get beat. And Memphis shows what they're capable of. They beat Auburn just the other night, and they're going to be ready to play. They really kind of turned Alabama's season around in a negative way last year, if you guys remember. And once Alabama dropped that game, they never really recovered for a majority of the season after losing to Memphis, because that was pretty soon after they got that big win over Gonzaga last year. And after that Memphis game, Alabama was just not the same. So hopefully they can continue the momentum they've had over the past couple of weeks, beating some really good quality teams in Michigan State, North Carolina, and now number 1 Houston, that they can kind of just continue to build on what they've done so far and just be the kind of team that they're capable of being, Jake. Because look, Brandon Miller's not been his best the last couple of games. Mark Sears was off last night until, like you said, later in the second half, and he really made some clutch shots for Alabama. And you mentioned the clutch free throws from Brandon Miller. Made all 6 of his free throws in the final minute of the contest, and that really sealed the game for the Tide. And that's the plays you need to have, and that's plays Alabama has not had, in recent history when it comes to basketball, making clutch free throws. So that was really exciting to see. And just this team, Jake, they're fun. They're fun.
Yeah, they're absolutely fun. If you would have come to me, after the game, it was like, man, Noah Clowney led the team in points, I've been like, how bad did we get beat? And that's not a knock on Clowney. It's just, we know, he's becoming a great scorer, but we know Brandon Miller, Mark Sears, they're the go-tos on the offensive end of the ball. And then they get everybody else involved. And like you mentioned, Quinley has yet to get going yet, it seems like, offensively. But once they do, and we still have Welch, who has not come back out on the bench. He's still hurt. So, I mean, this team is deep. It's really good. This is probably Nate Oats. This is Nate Oats' best team he's had down there.
Oh, yeah.
And defensively, they get after it defensively as well. And another thing I want to talk about last night that I saw earlier when I was rewatching the game, 3 turnovers in the second half. That's it. That's amazing.
That was going to be what I brought up next, Jake, is that changed the game for Alabama. When you don't turn the ball over, especially against a team like Houston, is maybe the best defense in the entire country, and you only have 3 turnovers in one half, that gives you a great chance to win, and that really changed the complexion of the game for Alabama. I think Jaden Bradley played 20 minutes and did not commit a single turnover in the game. That is huge for a true freshman, and he is really becoming maybe like the X factor for this team, in my opinion. His ability to come off the bench and get you right around double-digit scoring. He's going to get you 3 to 5 assists and 3 to 5 rebounds every time he gets in, and he's not really a high-volume turnover guy. So it's just when you have that type of player come off the bench for you, it makes your team that much better. And you mentioned the depth of this team. That's what my dad talked about it today. He said, when I'm watching them, it's just amazing how deep they can go into the bench, and there's not a drop off in talent or execution. And there's not many teams that can say that, Jake. And Alabama's one of the deepest teams in the country, and that's why they're maybe one of the favorites to make the Final Four or make a run at a Final Four this year, Jake, because they're deep, they're talented, they play together, and they just know how to win. It seems like.
Absolutely. We talked about the last year's team. It seemed like there's a couple of egos on the team that kind of hurt morale and team chemistry. All that's gone now. Nate Oates has got his guys, and the fruits of that are showing already early on this season. And like you said, it doesn't get any easier. We got Memphis coming up and Gonzaga. And then, SEC plays are right around the corner, and that's just a gauntlet as well. There's a lot of good teams in the SEC. So Nate Oates is building a great program in Alabama, and it needs to be soon where we look at extending him and getting an arena built for him, because he deserves it, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, I want to talk about that here in just a second, but we have a new sponsor here, Jake, BetUS. Guys, if you're not over there, go ahead and sign up. The link is in the description below. Click that link, sign up, make a deposit, and on your first deposit, you will receive 125% bonus on your first deposit. So if you put in $100, they're going to put in 125 extra dollars for you, absolutely free. So make sure you follow the link in the description down there below for BetUS. Jake, you mentioned the extension that we need to give Nate Oates. You mentioned the arena we need to give Nate Oates. It's not a matter of how much or when. It's just do it now,
Right.
and however much it takes.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I've been big on this for a couple of years now, and I know COVID kind of threw everything in a loop with prices, skyrocketing and stuff. But you know, before Nate Oates showed up on campus, the basketball program was in disarray. We both loved Anthony Grant, we both loved Avery Johnson, but the program, I mean, 15 to 17 wins is all you could account for, and with those teams, he's brought a level of excitement. He's brought the blue collar basketball. I mean, he's filling that arena. I mean, we're selling out Coleman Coliseum now. I mean, and it's loud. So he's brought a new energy. He's brought new life, and he deserves at least an extension and more from the university. So hopefully Greg Byrne, he's a great athletic director, and well, I can't think of our president's name, but Bell, yeah, I know they're going to work together and get this situation solved, because the way Nate Oates has flipped Alabama, these blue bloods are going to be calling him in a few years. We got to lock them down.
And the good thing is, Jake, is that Alabama can afford it,
Right.
and he's slowly proving that he can probably do at Alabama what he can do anywhere else.
Exactly.
So, I mean, he brought in the second-ranked class in the country this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of depending on who you look at, one of the best classes in the country, regardless. And another solid class will be coming in next season with several key members of this current team that'll be back next year as well. I mean, you got to think that a guy like Brandon Miller will be gone. Obviously, JQ will be gone. Noah Clowney will be Noah Gurley, and then Noah Clowney. That's kind of where I was going with this. Is he is slowly building himself into a draft pick, Jake. I mean, he's 16, every bit of 6'10". He has the ability to make shots. He has a future making shots at the 3-point line. He's a little inconsistent right now, but the stroke is there, Jake. He can make that shot. He has the ability to put the ball on the floor a little bit and penetrate. So it's just he's a rebounding machine. He's a good shot blocker. So I think NBA scouts are going to really start to take notice to him. And depending on how he continues to play this season could depend on if he comes back or not, because I'm sure if he continues like he's been going the last couple of weeks, getting double-digit scoring and double-digit rebounds, knocking down a couple threes a game, them NBA scouts are going to be drooling, because there's not many 6'10" guys that can move like he can move and knock down shots like he can knock down shots, and they'll be drooling for a guy like Clowney.
Absolutely. He's kind of working himself into like a Josh Primo, where he just comes out of nowhere,
right,
and becomes a first-round pick. And like, who is this guy? That the Spurs picked, was it 3 years ago now? I believe 2 or 3. So they're like, who? And I know things haven't worked out well for Primo here lately in the NBA, but
I don't even want to talk about that. That whole situation is shady.
It is. But my point on that was, he worked he just come out of nowhere that season and worked his way up to a draft pick, a first round draft pick. So Clowney is doing that for himself this year, and he potentially could be a great first round pick.
Yeah, and if the NBA draft has shown us anything, it's that teams are willing to gamble on potential.
Yeah,
And Noah Clowney is oozing with potential.
yeah, he is for sure.
So, yeah,
it's fun.
really excited to see what this team can do this year, Jake. I think that's going to wrap up this episode. We kind of discussed how Alabama got that win against Houston and all the key factors in that matchup and what they need to continue to do moving forward in the season. We're going to be talking Alabama hoops for a long time because I think they're going to be playing well into March and April, and they may even make a run at a national championship this year if they continue to do what they're doing right now. And that's I mean, I say it like it's nothing, but it's this team is proven to be one of the best teams in the country. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what you're watching or smoking or whatever
Watch
it is.
one of their games.
Watch this team fight. Just watch them.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for watching, guys. Like I said, hit the link in the description for Bet US and sign up, make a deposit today, and you'll receive that 125% bonus on that first deposit. Jake, so much fun to talk Bama hoops. Can't wait to talk a little bit of recruiting soon because early signing period is coming up in just a couple weeks. So there's a lot to discuss there, and we're going to be talking all week long about all the events coming up around Alabama athletics. But thank you so much for watching. For Stacey Blackwood and Jake Thomas, we'll see you next time. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.